Hi friends.
I'm good.
Hello, sir.
Hi, hi.
Hi, all. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Very good afternoon to all, and thank you for joining on time.
Good afternoon.
Very good afternoon to all. I hope my screen is visible to you. I started sharing my deck with you all.
Visible and good.
Yes, it is.
Great. Well, we all know that sometime what happened that one application we created works in our environment. It work in a developer's laptop, but sometime it not work on testing or the production. And this is because of the difference in the computing environment in a different environment like a dev set and prod. And this is because sometime maybe developer has upgraded their particular dependency or the software in the developer machine. And in production, you might have a different version. I mean, this is a very common thing. We used to have this, right? Well, how we can help and solve this problem with the help of today's topic. Okay, so guys, welcome you all in today's topic that's about Docker fundamentals. What is our agenda is, we are gonna to talk about, request everyone to be on mute. Okay, today's agenda will be talking about the Docker basics. What do you mean by the containers? How it is different from virtual machine? What is Docker? Why we need Docker? What is Docker basics commands? What is the anatomy of Docker image, Docker build, Docker tag, Docker push? And of course, the most important one is the orchestration. And then the Docker Compose architecture and Docker volume and Docker network. Guys, this is what the agenda we are targeting for our 2 days session, which is including today's and tomorrow. Well, I hope everyone here in the call is aligned with the agenda.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, pretty much, I'm sure you all know what is Docker, but it's still, before I talk about the Docker specifically, I would like to highlight something called container. Hey guys, I mean, you can also, let's make it interactive. You can also reply me. What do you understand by the container? Anyone? You can unmute and you can start answering.
So container is somewhat suppose if we have a software or if we have an application. So container is basically used to when we hosted the application, the containers manages all these things such as for example, if we're talking about the Java application, then the Tomcat is like a container, and it's basically knows all about the endpoints and delegate the request whatever we throw it.
Okay. Thank you, first of all, Praduman, for answering. Anyone
Yeah.
else?
So container can be thought of basically like any of the virtual machine, like
Okay,
where
very
we can
nice.
bind different packages.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah, I think in container on a mission,
Yep.
we can have separate set of OS
Okay.
and different all other stuffs. Maybe it will share the same OS but different platform that can contain multiple our application.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, container is the term like which hold the entire package that is like needed to run the application.
That's good. It's contain all the packages which needed to run the application. Okay, but I would like to say in a different word. Container is an application.
Container is a space which we
Okay.
can hold anything.
Okay.
Yeah, not only OS, not only application. We can
Okay.
hold the things in a group or individual.
That's also nice. Very good. So I
Uh,
can, yeah, go ahead, Pankaj.
Container is like a virtual
container is
machine.
a ex-
One by one, yeah, please. First, Deepak, yeah, go ahead.
Container is like a virtual machine.
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
Container is an executable package of software. So that's include everything to the run and applications in the code of the runtime, and it's a build of the packages and application is isolated environment, so that will be created the Docker and containers.
that's true. So I can say in a very easy term that Docker container is a standardized unit which can be created on the fly to deploy a particular kind of application or the environment or the operating system. It could be a Ubuntu container. I can call it, it could be Angular application container. It could be a Node container. Okay. So it could be any kind of thing. It can contains a particular operating system, or it could have a particular, my application, which could be Angular or .NET or the Java application, or it could be work as a DB container, any of the DB endpoint is there. So it could be anything, right? But at the end, it is the Praduman, you want to say something?
No, sir.
Okay, so it's a standardized packaging for software and their dependency. And the most important part, it isolates apps from each other and share the same OS kernel. And you might be thinking, oh, Ankur, again, you talk about something which is, is about the technical. Let's take another example. Guys, and this is very, layman example. If I'm sure a lot of you are already working on it. Might be some of you are not working on this topic, but I think you all can relate with this. Do you know that you have the, you have something that's called mobile apps? You have the Facebook app, you have the, a lot of net banking apps, your contact apps, and a lot of apps in your mobile. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
You all have the apps, and apps is what is a running instance of your code. I mean, you have someone has written those program, and the running instance of your code is known as an application, is a running application, right?
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, perfect.
But I want to understand how you actually run any application in your Android mobile or iPhone. I mean, first of all, I think something is distribution is there which you need to download. I mean, it could be APK file. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yep.
And this APK file, when you run it, actually running instance of this APK file you call application or app.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's very true. And,
Yes.
and this APK file, basically when you download for any application, contains all their dependency within it. You agree with me?
Yes.
Okay. And when you're running these application, you require the environment which can support, it's like your Android operating system where these application could be run, right?
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. This is one piece of the thing, that container are the applications, or it could be any kind of application. It could be application container, it could be operating system container, but whenever you need any sort of application and they are running, you call them containers. I mean, this is one piece of the information, okay, at a high level. Now, why if I can run executable in my Windows operating system, then why we should know this new terminology, Ankur? This called container. Why don't you call it application itself? Why don't you call the new terminology as in dependency or distribution? You simply call it executable file or the setup. Why you are using the different terminology? There is a reason. I'll coming on that. Well, to understand that, I should understand one more important factor, and that is called Docker image. What is the Docker image now? Ankur, is a new terminology. Yes, actually the Docker image is nothing. The one you are talking about, just the APK file, you can think like that. A Docker image is a lightweight standalone executable package of software that include everything needed to run an application. It includes your code, of course, on the top. It includes your dependency or the runtime, and it includes your operating system as well. So when you say the Docker image, it's like it's contain their own all dependency, everything to run that application which you want to run. That's called Docker image. And when you Actually,
Sorry
go
for
ahead.
interrupting,
ahead.
Ankur.
Yeah, go ahead.
You mean to say that Docker image is somewhat, suppose if we are making an application, for example, a Java application,
True.
so the executable Java application and the platform which is required for this, suppose JDK, when
Yes.
it's the combination of this particular things, it's known as a Docker image.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true.
Okay.
You
Okay,
got it?
okay.
Actually, whatever you talk about as a dependency, you can think like a layer. And this entire layer, I mean, Docker image may have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 layers. On the top of very first, we have an application, and below it, you have the dependency, like you talk about any UI dependency or whatever of your application. Then you have a node server, and at the last, you have an operating system, which is the Linux-based kernel. So that all things will be packaged in a unit, and that is called Docker image. And when you run this unit, that running instance of that unit is known as a container.
Okay, fine.
And you remember I started with a question that can I have my application and I push it in a different environment and it remain the same. If let's say I want to run my Java application and I will give you the Docker image, not my JDK, whatever the .java file or the .jar file you have. I think in .NET we have a setup. So I'm not giving you the Artifactory directly, rather than I'm giving you a Docker image, and then you can put it in all three environment, dap, test, as well as prod, and it remain the same. Why? Because this image contain their all dependency within it. You don't need any external, you don't have any external dependency in it. Is it not solving the problem which we have started with?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's one of the problem that this Docker container is helping us. And Docker image is something, as I told you, at a high level, you can think like it's your APK file. If you have to run an application, then that application must be run with the help of a distribution, and that is your APK file. And here it's the same Docker image. Now another question. I might be asking it differently, but yes, it's important. I need a image. I need a image. Why? Because I have to run Facebook. I need the this APK file because I have to install this Facebook in my mobile. What is the first step you do, guys? Where you go?
For image?
Sorry?
For like taking the image?
Yeah.
So there are a couple of options. Like we can go for the Docker Hub. We can download from there the image, or we can create the image.
In case of mobile.
Ankur, Docker is working.
Play Store.
You go to the App
Play
Store or
Store.
the Play Store. That's true.
Play Store. Yeah.
That's true. You got it. One of you were asking some question. Let me ask. Come on that. Then I'll come on to this. Yeah. What you was trying to say? No. Okay, that's fine. Yes, you got it. Is the Play Store is the App Store, and what the Play Store and App Store looks like is like a repository where all the APKs file are there.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a repository of apps. Yep.
Yes.
That's true. You got it. Similarly, we have something called repository in this entire concept, and that is called Docker Hub. And Docker Hub is nothing, is a public repository where you have the Docker images. So I need the SQL Server. I'll go to the Docker Hub, I'll download it, and I'll run it. And when I run it, I will get a running instance of my SQL Server in form of Docker container. Isn't that simple?
Yes.
I mean, if I'm an end user, I'm an application part, I'll go to my Play Store, I'll download my APK file, whatever I needed it, and I just run it. That's all. Now, this is one piece of the information. And I think this part is clear to everyone here in the call, all 194 people. If not, please ask your question.
So then how Docker image can be lightweight?
Oh, how it could be lightweight. I'll come on that part. How it could be lightweight. Whenever I'll do comparison, always in comparison, there is some another party. So let me first introduce my another party, then I'll talk about the lightweight.
So container is basically a group of Docker images, right?
No. Container is a running instance of the Docker image.
Okay.
The way the running instance of your APK file you call application, the similar like here, running instance of the Docker image is known as a Docker container.
Okay. Got it.
Anything else you want to ask, or should I go to the next slide?
Ankur, Docker working only for the Linux and it's as well as working to the Windows also.
Oh yeah, it's work for both.
Both Windows also.
Yes, it's work for Windows as well after the Windows 2016. All the versions are supporting.
Okay.
All the window version, like it's like 10 or like 10 plus.
Windows 10 and 11.
10 plus.
Yes, that's what I said. Windows 2016.
As well as supporting the all languages.
All languages is different story. I'll come on that.
Okay, fine.
Ankur, is Docker contain multiple images, Docker images?
Docker container. No. You are going in a wrong direction, my friend. Let me first read certain comments in the chat. So, is there difference from container and VM? I'll answer this question. I have this in my next slide. Difference between the container and VM. Please hold for it. Docker image is the running instance of the application. Docker image is not the running instance. Harsh, it is simple. Docker image is the distribution, and when you run this distribution, then you will get a container. So running instance of Docker image is called container. Am I correct? Harshdeep, is it clear to you?
Can you repeat it again, please? Just a second.
Yeah, perfect. You have your mobile and you download any APK file to get it installed. That APK file is nothing, is a Docker image at a high level. And the second side, when you run and install this, your APK file, when you install your image, when you run this image, you will get a running application like Facebook or whatever. Similarly, when you run a Docker image, you got a container.
What is used to run the Docker image? Like what converts the image to the container?
That is a different piece of things. This is basically to answer your question. That's something called Docker engine. Whose responsibility is this? I'm coming into that. But just I want to ensure that you both are, everyone here in the call should be clear with two terminology. What is Docker image and what is Docker container? Are we good till that part?
Ankur, I need to explain again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which part?
Docker image and Docker container.
Okay. Okay. Just try to understand. Being a developer, you write the code.
Yes.
Then you push your artifact into some sort of repository.
Definitely.
That repository will be downloaded by some other person, and
yes,
that install that application and run it and find an application, right?
Right.
Being a developer, I write the code. In that code, I have a Docker image, Docker file, which is called Docker instruction. Please avoid this terminology. You can think like any of the configuration file which contains certain command. Okay. Perfect. Sure. Now, when you run this Docker file, it will create a Docker image instead of your setup, instead of your Java jar files, or instead of your executable. It create a Docker image. It's like the artifact. It's like the same distribution you used to create earlier, but you can think now we call it Docker image. Is that clear?
Yes.
Now, when you run this Docker image with the help of the Docker engine, then you call container. And container is nothing, is a running instance of the application.
Okay, fine.
Kulbhushan, no, we can't consider Docker image as directly exe file. But yes, for a comparison, you can have this picture in your image. Yes, Docker exe is Docker image something like exe. When I download this exe and run, it becomes an application. So likewise, you can think similar way. Sure. But there are many things are involved here. Okay, so coming on those things. Why we use Docker engine? Though we are running fast, but I have the answer in my next slide. Perfect. I think this is one of the thing which a lot of people having in their mind. Hey, Ankur, I know something called VM. Why don't you talk about the VM? And why you're not comparing container to VMs? Why are you directly saying running instance of the application is called container? Okay, let me come on to another terminology which a lot of people are talking about here. Yes, VM. So guys, what is virtual machine? can we talk about a history? Though it was a revaluation at that time, but yes, now I can say it's being old. So what is VM? Is a virtual machine. What it is mean a virtual machine? Okay, let me give you the clarity. Generally, what happened in our scenario, whenever I need to do some R&D, I need a one more machine, or maybe I'm running on a Windows. I have the Windows laptop and I want to have a Linux distribution. I want to do some R&D on that. So what I will generally do, I'll go and I'll have a VM. I will run this VM and do some R&D, whatever I need to do on Linux-based system, and then I down it. Is it the same thing we do? This is a one scenario in a developer machine. In server, generally we used to do, let's say we have a very heavy hardware, and I want to run 2 applications in isolation. So I have a host operating system, which is very, very capable enough to have more than one application in it. But the idea is if I run both the application in the same system, there is not security. I mean, they both share the same resource. So to avoid this problem, what I used to do in the past, that let's say I have a, let me use the here something called pointer. Yep, I have this pen at least. So let's suppose I have one very good host machine and it is very capable. It's having, it can, on this I can run more than one application. So this host having one of the VM, okay, it could be VM1 and I have the VM2. So VM means they both are running in isolation. They having their own operating system, which could be different. One could be Windows, one could be Linux or something else. And I'm running my application on the top of it. The best part is they are using the capability, or they are sharing the hardware of my host machine. It is also a machine, undoubtedly.
Ankur, we can say that, for example, the VirtualBox, if we download the VirtualBox in our Windows operating system, then we can download the image of an Ubuntu, so we
That's
can.
True. That's true.
So yeah, that's the okay.
That's true. That's true. And one answer you have given, one question someone has asked and you've given the answer. You use a term here. What is that? What do you need to create a VM? Come on, tell me.
VirtualBox.
VirtualBox. What is this VirtualBox? Come on.
It's basically a VirtualBox is basically used for the virtualization. If we want to, in an host operating system, if you want to run up another operating system, so you need a VirtualBox. It's you can say that the virtualization.
It's a virtualization engine. Can I call it virtualization engine?
Yeah.
If you don't have this, then what you cannot create virtual machine. Am I correct?
Yeah.
One of the virtualization is a Hyper-V.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So where you need this virtualization engine? In a host machine, right?
In a host machine, yes.
Very true.
Yeah.
That's you got it. You got it. So guys, if you want to run 2 applications in isolation, then in the past, what we used to do, we used to create the VMs. And VM will be created with the help of something called
VirtualBox.
Virtual engine.
Hypervisor.
Hypervisors, you can
no,
say that
my friends.
Images.
Host operating system. Images, yeah.
Images of host operating system, or you might have an application in form of image.
Yeah.
So basically, if you
image.
Exactly. So if you have the image, then you can create the VM with the help of something called virtual engine or virtualization engine. Am I correct till here?
Yeah, you can summarize it now. You can conclude that particular.
So basically, if I have a machine and that
Ankur, what is the image? What is the image here? In this case, where is
image of the operating system? What this VM is all about? Is the VM is of Windows VM, or it is a Linux VM, or it is a VM of a SQL server? So when you spin off this image, then it generate in a form of VM. VM are those instructions which says how this VM looks like. What are the things should be there? What are the configuration on the top of it is there? Let's say I need a CentOS. Then I will go to the Google and say, I need the CentOS image to get the virtual machine. So that's you download a CentOS image, right? Then when you spin off that image, you will get a VM. And during that spinning off, you do a lot of configuration about operating system, because this image is also contain the operating system, right?
Yes.
Certain configuration, username, password, or some other security settings you do set, right? And then when you have get it installed, you got in the form of running operating system. You got like a new machine, okay? And the way you interact with any operating system, the similar you do interact here. It could be graphical, it could be console based, right?
Yes.
I think virtual machine everyone knows, right?
Yeah.
And the purpose was pretty much clear. If you want to run more than one application in isolation, then you can utilize the same hardware resources to create 2 or more VMs, and you can run the application in isolation. That was a clear motive. Is that clear?
Yeah.
So for an example, in simple term, if let's say this is the 8 GB RAM, then you can take 2 GB into VM1 and 2 GB in VM2 and 4 GB for remaining to running the host machine, right? Is a one level. I'm just saying that it's creating a sharing of hardware resource. You can refer this image. Let's say you have a total memory of 16 GB. Then what you can do, 6 GB you can give to VM1 and 4 GB to VM2 and the 6 GB another to the VM3. Is that clear to you?
Yeah.
That's good. Now the idea is, I'm sure that you know that VM requires a full-fledged operating system. Do you know this thing?
Yes.
Each VM required a full-fledged operating system.
Yeah.
And that is where it is different from the containers. Containers not required the full-fledged operating system. It required the minimal service of the operating system, which is also shared by the host operating system. They don't require a separate setup to be installed of operating system. That's guys, just refer onto this image. Here it is a VM. Just see, is a host machine on the top.
Can you zoom it out?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, it's good now.
Now you can check it's a host operating system. On the top of it, you are running 2 VM, and each VM having their guest operating system, right? On the top of you having a
Hello. Hello.
I think it's a network issue.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, it's a network issue from Ankur, I think.
Okay.
Uncle, your voice is not coming.
Hello.
Hello.
Ankur,
Hello.
are you there?
I don't think so. He's there right now.
Yes, Ankur.
I think Ankur is not there.
Ankur is not in the call. I guess she left. I mean, she got disconnected. So let's wait for him. He may be
Power has
come
been
back.
gone. He will start reconnect with
Hey,
again.
sorry guys, I've been out of this meeting due to my router started. Guys, am I audible?
Yes, Ankur.
Yes.
Now it is audible.
Yeah, apologies. Actually, I got just out of this meeting, and I'm not sure what was the last statement, but I was talking about this,
OS.
how it is
We are
different.
talking
Yeah.
about the OS. Yeah.
Perfect. So, I mean, you can check here that each VM required a separate layer of operating system, right? So, and of course, the important factor is, I'm sure you must
Ankur, your
have
voice
run
is
the
breaking right now.
VMs in the past, right? And usually when you spin off, okay.
Yeah, now it is not.
Okay, I hope it's better now.
Yeah.
I changed the network. Yeah. So I was talking about, guys, please mute yourself. It's a request. Yeah. So I was talking about that, this virtual machine have a guest operating system. So whenever you have spinning your VM, it required around 10 minutes to get it up. You agree? Because what is do, it's install a full-fledged operating system in the background, and then it give you the options to get it set up, right? Have you done that?
Yes.
Whether you did it with the automation, you did with the code chef or any of the tool, or you did it manually, but in both the cases it required some time to get it done. Whereas in other side of it, you can see here, actually the container not required any sort of guest operating system. Why, guys? Because here the virtualization happen at operating system level. What is the major difference is, in virtual machine, in virtualization concept, the virtualization happen at hardware level, and each new hardware set required a operating system to get it working. Whereas in containerization concept, you don't require the guest operating system. And because you don't require a guest operating system, spinning a container is hardly few second job. Even in a larger application, in case of heavy application as well, it hardly download the dependency and get it run. And the second important thing is, because it does not require the guest operating system to get it run, then of course the cost is less, because you don't require the license of the guest operating system. You don't require to set the firewall. You don't require an antivirus to, and these all patches are not required in your
But if the but my question is, for in a virtualization, we are using a virtualization. Basically, suppose if we have an application, it is not whenever we have a host operating system Windows, and this application is not configurable according to the Windows, then we connect the VirtualBox and then install that Ubuntu, and after that it's running. But how this problem is to be carried out in a Docker, because there is a one host. It's Windows.
No, Praduman, this is not the answer. The answer is you have a hardware with a higher capability where you can utilize to run more than one application. That was a problem. The problem is like, if you're suppose your machine is not enough capable to run the VM, could you able to run it on it? No, if your hardware is not. So the actual problem was in the industry that we used to have our server basically for the higher load. Okay, and in ideal time, we don't utilize those resources properly, even the utilization under the 30%. So the industry goes the idea that if I have to run a new application and I have already the one machine or the server with me, why don't I run my another application in the same hardware? That was the problem statement. And industry solved this problem statement with the help of virtualization concept.
Okay.
So that they can run more than one business, more than one application. When I say application, it's equivalent to the business. So that they can run more than one business in the same hardware. And they can utilize this, hardware resource utilization more than 70% or 60%.
Okay.
That was the actual problem statement. And the same problem statement is solved by the containerization. Whenever you have the capable enough hardware or as a server, you can make.
Ankur, here virtual machine divided into one container.
Hello.
Hello, Ankur.
Ankur?
Again, Ankur voice is not audible.
I think another routing for
Another disconnect.
Yeah, maybe. Wait.
Again, disconnect. Wait for some time.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened to my net today, but it's fluctuating. No, but please don't worry. I'll repeat the things. So I was talking about at a high level, one difference was there. This is, I'm just meeting you, everyone. The first difference was the guest operating system. Is that clear? Is that part is clear to everyone?
Yes. Ankur, yes, clear. One virtual machine coming to the one Docker container.
Sorry, repeat your words.
One virtual machine, similarly, one container.
Yes, but this VM required an operating system, whereas container does not require a full-fledged operating system.
Okay. Fine.
That's why it is lighter. Let's some that Windows size is very heavy. Like 3 GB is the installable size, right? 3 to 4 GB.
Yeah, now it's 3 GB.
Nowadays, I think it's around 10 GB.
10 GB also.
Go for the Windows 11. So
and RAM also required more.
Don't you think it's a lighter?
Yes.
And it is the faster. If
Yeah.
you need.
Your voice is breaking in between.
Perfect. So
voice is not coming clear.
Yeah, I'm running on a hotspot actually. Okay.
It's better now, Ankur.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry that hotspot is not working properly. Sorry. Easily, I mean, one of you have asked this question in the chat. What is the difference between the virtual machine and the containerization? Is that clear now? I hope park that question for the future. So is that clear at a high level?
Yes, Ankur, it's clear.
Perfect. Now,
Yeah, Ankur.
Yeah.
Just a second. If the host operating system is same as the virtualization operating system, then it is okay. If that is different, then how it is lightweight?
No, it won't work.
Okay.
It won't work. If you are creating, suppose 3 Linux kernel based operating system you want to use, then your host operating system also is the Linux kernel. Otherwise, it won't work. You can't do you cannot run a Windows based kernel supporting Linux based apps. You can't do.
In case of Docker.
In case of Docker, true.
Okay.
So that's the limitation of Docker, isn't it?
It's not a limitation. Why it's not a limitation? Now the question is this. So because it's not the limitation, most of the time, whenever you want to run these things, you actually run on a Linux kernel itself. So this concept was already there for the Linux itself. But now Windows is also supporting the, this containerization concept. But it's very
for
true.
that case, we'll be having a host OS in Windows, Windows kernel, I think.
Yep, that's true.
And for both virtual machines and for containers, both. I think it will go for both.
Yeah, very true. And for that, though they have come up with a solution called WSL, I'll talk about in a while. But currently, whatever you are saying is correct, is absolutely correct.
Okay, thank you.
Now, you remember I talked about this image before. This 2 GB, 1 GB or 4 GB, I'm talking about the size it's taking for the operating system. So if let's say I have to run the same application as a container, then it will take only 4 GB, 3 GB and 2 GB. Then it can save the remaining 7 GB for running one another container. Don't you agree with me?
Yes, yes.
Perfect.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, it's totally different. And if I talk about, it's required a hypervisor, as I told you. Hypervisor is that application which help you to create the, virtual machines. Like here, we have something called container engine. What is the concept? Container engine. And the way you have named some of the hypervisor in my last discussion, some of you talk about Oracle or something, or some of you talk about Hyper-V, right? So different hypervisor there in the industry. Similarly, guys, the different container engines are there, and one of them is
Docker engine.
What is other? Rocket is another one, and few other. But Rocket, this Docker and the Rocket are the mostly widely used and famous one in the industry. So the answer is, to create a virtual machine, you require a hypervisor. Otherwise, you can't create the virtual machine. The similar one, to create the containers, you require the
Docker engine.
That's good. That's good. You got it. I hope this part is very, very clear to everyone.
So you can say that this, for example, a virtual box can be a hypervisor.
Yes, it's a virtual box is a hypervisor. Hyper-V is a hypervisor.
Okay, VMware or virtual box.
We can install the Docker engine in our system also.
You can install.
Okay, fine.
Ankur, while installing Docker, doesn't it have you enable Hyper-V?
No.
Like when I was trying to get it to run, it asked me to enable something in the OS.
Yeah.
For enabling virtualization. So I thought that was
relatively answer is yes, but don't get confused. Why this is required, it's also need to understand importantly. Okay, I'll come to that part again. Okay.
Ankur, Ashish this side. So I have one question actually. I think.
Please go ahead.
So, like in Dockerfile, we give image names like Java or OpenJDK image, Java 11 image. So it means that is the standard image which we use to create the that container using that image, right?
Okay.
What your question?
Sorry.
So that's my question. I just want to confirm. In Dockerfile, we mentioned that use Java image like we in our project we use the OpenJDK 11 image. So it is the instruction to basically Docker engine that use this particular OpenJDK 11 image to create the container, right?
Actually, I'm having a bad network, but what I'm able to understand is, let me reply that. Let me first, your question is about Docker image. When in Dockerfile, you write the instruction, there are a lot of instruction like from this image build this, run this, and a lot of commands are there. So your question is, when you say from particular image, it is your base image, right? That was your question.
Yes, yes. So that base image is used to create a container, right? That
No, it's a kind of dependency for that particular image, I guess.
You know,
right?
if you create a Java application, you require a Java, and to run that Java application required a runtime.
Yes,
correct.
So whenever you create a container, something is based on of it. Something is required. Let's say I have to create a Word file. Then I must require the operating system to get the Word, MS Word on the top of it, and then only I can create a Word document. Am I clear? Am I clear?
Yes.
So what is the base thing is needed for me? So whenever you say first instruction of your Docker file, where it's talk about the from, that is the base image. What is the minimum things you needed to run this?
So that will restrict the scope of the image, right? Which image we have to use. We have specified.
Yes, very true. If you required a Java application, you will have a base image for a Apache operating system or something. If you have a .NET image, you might require a .NET runtime. If you require to run a node-based application, you will take a node as your base image. That's very true.
What?
Ankur, I have one question.
Go ahead.
In the picture that you are displaying, the last machine, I think it shows that we can implement containerization into a virtual machine, right? If I'm not wrong.
Okay, so here is the image, here is talking about that, what happened.
It's a VM, and we have implemented containerization into it, right?
Yes.
So isn't it more memory consuming? I think it will be more memory consuming.
Okay, why? First of all, you should know why that scenario is needed. So for an example, I would say to you that I need a Linux-based containerization. Okay, I have my images which required a Linux-based system, and currently I have my Windows operating system where I'm giving this training on my Windows machine, and I want to install a Docker in my Windows machine. Scenario is clear. I need to install the Docker in Windows machine. So,
right.
and I know very clearly that Docker engine runs only on a Linux. Should I repeat my word?
Okay. I got it.
Docker engines run only on Linux. That's why I required a VM in my Windows machine where my Docker engine will run. Though Docker engine and Docker client, there are two separate entities which work on client server based architecture. So Docker client will be installed on Windows machine, but Docker engine will install in that VM, which I have a Linux based machine in my separate in my system itself, so that they both communicate and provide me the entire system even in the Windows machine. I hope it is clear.
Yes, it's perfectly clear now. Thank you.
Great. And the same thing Krishna Mohan has highlighted. I hold that question that time because I want to give it in a different way, but it's okay. I think this is clear so far.
Yeah, Ankur.
Yes, Ankur.
I have a small question. I have a question, Ankur.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, my host machine having a Linux operating system with Java virtual machine 11 or 16 something. Okay, I'm trying to create a Docker image with the same Linux operating system and OpenJDK 11. Is still as per the explanation, OS is taking the lightweight. It will install only some of the components. Similarly, Java also install the same like that, or Java will install complete JDK.
No, it will be the complete dependency. It's the complete one.
Okay, only OS will be installed some of the components. Remaining all will install complete.
Yes. Why it's required only the some services? Because all the remaining services will be used by the host operating system.
Okay. Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Perfect. Guys, I'm just muting you all again. Yep. And let me try if my network is back. Give me just a few seconds to check. Okay, guys, I think I'm back, right? I think the network is better this time. Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Is the screen is still visible?
Yes, it is.
Yes,
visible.
Ankur.
Yes.
Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect.
Yes.
Yep. Now the question is, what is Docker? So Docker is an organization, is a company name. The name of the company is Docker Inc. And it's also having a Docker as a product, and it's a set of platform as a service that use OS level virtualization. You remember I talked about in the previous slide that two level of virtualization is there. One is a hardware level, that is called virtualization, and the second level of virtualization, which we call virtualization 2.0 or the latest virtualization, whatever you want to call it, but actually it's a OS level virtualization. So Docker is a set of platform as a service that use OS level virtualization to deliver software in a package called container. And what is container? I have already talked about. It is isolated from one to another and bundle their own software, libraries, configuration file, and all the dependency. Is it clear here? And what we can do with this Docker as a product? Well, this product helped me to build containers, to ship containers, and to run containers. Okay, so when you say I want to create a Docker image, what it is mean? You are saying I want to build containers. I want to build Docker image. Is that clear? When I say shipping, shipping means you are pushing your Docker image to the repository. That means you're talking about shipping, or pull or push, either the sending or the downloading. That's what shipping. Who help you to do it? Of course, this Docker product. And the third one, running apps. I have already downloaded my APK, but I want to run it. So this Docker product help you to building containers, shipping containers, and running containers. Is that clear?
Okay, great.
Now it's run natively on the Linux and both, as well as supporting Windows Server, and runs on Windows or Mac with the help of a virtual machine, because this Docker engine is dependent on a Linux kernel, and it required a VM, which is Linux-based VM, to run the container in that machine. So I'm answering this question, hey, can I run Docker in Windows? Answer is yes. But guys, in that case, you required a VM. Can I run Docker in Mac? Answer is yes, but that's required a VM. Why that VM? Because I need something that product, and that product only run on a Linux kernel.
Okay.
Is that clear?
Yeah.
And the most important concept from I talked about since beginning is the images and the containers. Everything is around the real images and the containers.
I have
Ankur, I have a question for the fourth point. That
Go
run on Windows or Mac development machine. It means that first you have an host operating system. First you have a host operating system is a Windows, and if in the Windows you have to install the VM so that the Docker engine can be configured.
No,
I got
host
it.
operating system would be Linux, right?
No. His question is, let's say he is having Windows laptop and he want to run container, Docker. Then to install the Docker, he should have a VM based on Linux. Is your question?
Yeah, definitely.
So answer is partially yes. Why? Because Docker as a company has provided you a product. that is called Docker for Windows, or you also call it Docker Desktop. When you install this Docker Desktop, my friends, it will do these all things for you. When you install a Docker Desktop, it will create a Docker image for you. Sorry, a virtual machine for you.
Virtual machine
on the top of that VM, and that's the reason one of the person has asked, "Hey Ankur, to install a Docker, we required a Hyper-V as well." Actually, you are correct. And why that Hyper-V is required? Actually, not the Hyper-V. You can have any virtualization engine. It's not mandatory, Krishna Mohan, that we should have the Hyper-V only. It should be any of the virtualization engine must be there. Is that clear?
So by default in a Docker, which type
and
of hypervisor?
because you have the Windows of machines, and in Windows by default Microsoft provide you Hyper-V free of cost. You don't need to install it. That's why it give you the choice to get the Hyper-V utilized for this.
Okay.
Understood.
And why I was not answering very clearly that time, because they have also provided you the new solution which is called WSL. You have to install this WSL2 service as well now to have your Docker Desktop in your machine. I will talk about that as well. I hope this slide is pretty much clear to everyone here.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Of course.
Yeah.
We can write our code and deploy to the Docker also.
You can write your code and deploy to the Docker. अब Docker की किस product की बात कर रहे हो? Docker Hub की बात कर रहे हो? Then it's a repository. Yes, you can push. You can deploy.
Okay.
When you are talking about Docker as a Docker image, you are saying, so yes, you can write your application and you can create Docker image, and whenever you will run it, you will find that application running.
Okay.
So I wanted to ask about, in Windows machines, we have something called UEFI firmware and things that we need to configure from the BIOS in order to enable this virtualization. So why is all this needed?
Hey, of course, if you're in BIOS level, because ultimately, as I said earlier, virtualization concept किस पर applicable होता है? आपके hardware पर, and who manage it? Of course, your BIOS. So अगर BIOS में ही virtualization enable नहीं है, then it won't work. Your virtualization will not be done.
When we say virtualization, we are basically allocating allocating a certain part of the memory, and we are saying that this is like,
go ahead.
Like that part is, we are treating it as a disk, and then
we are treating it as that a separate disk, separate RAM, separate operating system layer, or I would say your processor layer, right? So that's all will be only work when you have this VM virtualization enable on BIOS. Otherwise, it won't work.
Yeah. So what is it internally that virtualization, like parallel processing or something like that, is being enabled?
Sorry, I have not and sometime explored it, but maybe I can explore before the next session. What makes that enable at a hardware level? I have not explored so far.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. So always, guys, we get confused. Being a Docker, what my responsibility? What I want to do with the Docker? Of course, if you are a developer, you want to build a Docker image. So your responsibility to build the Docker image. And if you want to create, if you are into CI/CD team, or you are into product, the team who manage the VMs, containers, IT operations, then of course your responsibility to run the deploy, manage, and scale the containers. So what is your responsibility? If you are a developer, you write your code. Along with that code, you create a Docker file which contain the instructions to create Docker image. Then you push this image to the repository. That's your responsibility. And if you are in an operation part, IT operations, then your responsibility to utilize those all images from the repository, create the containers on the top of it, deploy those, manage those, and scale those. Are we clear with this?
It is similarly to the GitHub and repository, just like
repository specifically, if you're talking about, yes, it's equivalent to the GitHub. The Docker Hub is equivalent to the GitHub. The difference is in GitHub, you used to, have the different version of your code, and you can, when you work with the teams, then you can put there for the versioning system. So answer is yes, the same thing is done by the Docker Hub. It's a repository where you can put your Docker images, you can have a different version of it, and you can manage it with teams the way you do manage it in Git.
Thank you.
Perfect. Are we good till here? Everyone here in the call?
One more question. So
Go ahead.
when we are doing it, running Docker on Windows, or we are running on Mac, then there is there's a Linux OS running in background, is it?
Yeah, I talked about it in my previous slide. Yes, the answer is yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I wanted to confirm.
Yep. This is very important slide, guys. Actually, it's a summary of whatever we have discussed so far. And it is start with a Docker image again. So Docker image can be compared like a template, which is used to create a Docker container. These are the building block of a Docker container. And basically, we create it with the help of build command. So let's say we have an instruction in a file, and whenever we run the build command, so that build command generate the Docker image, and it's a read-only template. Is that clear?
Okay, Ankur, got it.
Now the second important thing which we have discussed so far is Docker containers. So Docker containers are the ready application created from those Docker images which I just talked about. Or you can say in other word, Docker container is a running instance of a Docker image. They hold the entire package needed to run the application. So container has their own dependency within it. That is the ultimate power of the container. Now you must be thinking about the Docker engine. So it helps you to create, ship, and run Docker containers and deploy on a physical or virtual or host locally in a data center or a cloud service provider.
Okay.
And basically it works like a client server application. A server, which is a type of long running program, and we also call it daemon, Docker daemon. You must have heard this term. So the server is known as a daemon, and whereas a client is considered as a client line, like a CLI. .NET CLI or the Angular CLI is like a
command line interface.
Very good.
Yeah.
Is the command line interface, but actually who execute those run command? Something called server.
User. Yeah.
Something server. We write the command in a CLI, but who execute it? It's an engine.
Yeah.
Is a runtime in case of .NET. So similar here. You have two things. One is a CLI, which is a client application. One is a server who actually execute those commands which you pass from those CLI.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now you should know one more important thing, and that is called Docker registry. Docker registry is a location where actually you can store your Docker images. Should I repeat my words? Docker registry service is a place where you can store your Docker images. It could be public, it could be private. What is public? Public is Git. But when you have your own Git environment locally or within the organization, you call local Git, right? Similarly, you can, or whenever even you are using public Git, you have a two place, like it's a distributed now. So you have a local Git, local repository, and the global when you put it into GitHub, right?
Yes.
Similar concept is here. When you install this Docker and all as a product, then you have a Docker trusted registry, which is considered as a private repository within your machine. You have a private registry within your machine, and you have a public copy as well. If you create a GitHub account, likewise you create a Docker Hub account, then you have a public repository registry as well, which is cloud-based. Am I clear this?
Okay.
Is the architecture part is clear so far, guys? Because we have talked about everything which comes under the Docker and container and as the architecture.
Can you tell me about the Docker engine? Is it the VM or is it something else?
No, it's not a VM. Is a application which help you to create Docker images, ship Docker images from your local to local to your public hub repository, public repository to pull to the local repository, and it give you the API, services to run your Docker images and become them container. So if you want to create a Docker container, you must require this service, Docker Engine.
Yes.
You can compare like a Hyper-V. It's a Hyper-V.
Yeah, it's a Hyper-V.
But it is more than Hyper-V, because Hyper-V can only able to help you to run the VMs. It not help you to create the VMs, not create the images. It's do more than that.
Yeah.
Is it clear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ankur, Docker image is set of instructions only.
A set of instructions, true.
Okay.
No, Docker file is a set of instructions. When those instructions get execute, then whatever the distribution will create, that's called Docker image. Encapsulated. जैसे मेरे कोड में हम C# में कोड लिख रहे हैं, तो that code is the instructions, and जब exe बनेगी वो Docker image है.
Okay, and it has executables also, like
It has
JDK.
all their dependency. Yeah, it has all their dependency. It is has all their dependency. That is the best part about it.
So the Docker container is created using the Docker image, right?
Yes, true.
Right. So like if a Docker image, Docker container is running Apache and maybe Java and Tomcat, those things, if it is running, then the Docker image will contain the installers for those or something like that.
True.
Yeah,
Got it.
Okay.
Are we good with this?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, again, I'm repeating the same things, but it's a big picture. In a client, we run the commands, Docker host, client and host. There are two terminologies are coming here. Why these two separate things are here, guys? Because I am on a Windows machine. In terms of Windows, my machine is considered as client. The another machine, which you all talk about so far as a VM. You remember that we required to have a VM to install the Docker, that I consider as a Docker host. And in that VM, we have a Docker daemon, which is helping me to have storing the images, running the container, everything at all. And I have a third cloud-based repository that we call registry, where I can have, I can push and pull my images. I can push my images here. I can pull here to get it run. Okay, let me show you this in a running mode. Okay, discard. Okay, my friends. So I have my command prompt up. This is my command prompt, and to do this step, you should have Docker desktop to be installed in your machine. I have the Docker desktop installed in my laptop. And I'm running on a Windows 10. Let me open the dashboard of this is my Docker desktop dashboard. It's GUI. And after this is the step 1 you should have. Okay, so I have the Docker already. I'm just sharing this link in the chat as well. In case some of you don't have, then you can take your manager approval and go with IT to get an install before the next session. I'm sharing it to everyone in the chat. And I would also request you to create a Docker Hub account. It's a free of cost. You can use your personal mail address or the official one. I mean, to have the Docker Hub account. It's like a GitHub, something like that, GitHub. For the next few training, I think Visual Studio Code is required. So if you want to write the Docker file, then this editor is always helpful. And it's a free and open source. So you can also get it installed with the help of IT team. And to have this, you should have WSL. So if you will go and go to the IT to get installed, they will install the WSL. Don't worry about it. Or you can raise the Jira ticket as well in one go to get this installed as well.
Ankur, which version we need to install Virtual Machine Studio?
Visual Studio Code, you were talking about the latest version you can take. There is no problem.
Okay.
Visual Studio. Okay. Okay, perfect. So I've shared this. I will share this even after the session as a mail as well. Don't worry. Okay. Now coming that I have a Docker already running in my machine, right? Are you able to see this?
Yes.
Perfect.
Ankur, can you also please share the PPT which you're showing?
Why not?
Yes, thank you.
I will share after tomorrow's session because I have to runtime. I have to, some things might be tweaked a bit. So I will share after tomorrow's session, definitely. Okay.
Yes, no problem.
Okay, coming back. Coming back to my command prompt. Just see here carefully. Okay, so very first thing which I want to show you is the very basic command is called Docker version. Guys, usually whenever I install the Docker, very first command I run here is Docker version. What this helped me to understand is that I have a Docker engine running. I'm using a community edition, which is the free edition, and I'm having a client as well. You remember I talk about so far is a Docker client and Docker daemon. There are two terminology we have used. You remember that?
Yes.
And you can check here very carefully that where this Docker daemon is running. See here, where
It's
the Docker
Linux.
Is a Linux, and where my Docker client is running.
It's Windows.
And what is the Docker is? Is that CLI? Is this command line interface which I'm passing through this client to run these command over the engine?
Okay.
Am I clear?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, very good. So till here we are good. Now, what is the next thing? I want to check that.
Hello.
Yeah,
Ankur,
go ahead. Go
one
ahead.
question. So do you have to install a virtual machine for that to
No.
have that?
No, I have already answered your question that whenever you install that Docker for desktop Bala setup, it will do everything for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Before the current version of the Docker desktop, even 1 year before you can see that VM, but nowadays even you can't see that VM because it ran on WSL. That's a difference they have done in the last 1 year.
What WSL you talk about? Can you repeat it?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Basically, it's a service basically who help you to run the Linux distribution on Windows platform.
Okay.
And we call it Windows Subsystem for Linux, WSL. Okay. And now for running the Docker desktop, you require the WSL2, which is the latest version.
Okay.
Okay, coming back here. What is the next thing I want to check in my Docker? So I'm saying Docker, which is my CLI. Info is a command. What this info will help me to do, okay? Docker info is saying, go to my engine and find out the information of my engine, means daemon. So what is this information is giving to me? Hey, it's saying, Ankur, you have a 10 containers. I mean, I have a 10 containers means I have a 10 VM. Are you able to relate it? And out of those 4 are running. Oh, great. And 6 are stops. Start and stop means I have already that container, but it is in a stop state. Like you install, Facebook in your mobile, but you are not using it, but it is installed. Are you able to? It is in a stop state. Are you able to relate this?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Even you are having a VM, but VM might be have on a switch off state. Is like that. And how many images you have? 9. Where you have these images? Anyone?
It's Docker Hub.
No, it's in your local repository. You remember I talked about the private repository?
Yeah, but there's one question. If we have a 10 containers, so then we have 10 images, na?
No, I might have deleted.
So the containers are different.
No. एक मिनट, let me give you clarity. Let's suppose I have a 1 APK, ठीक है? I have a 1 APK and I run it 2 times. तो कितने कंटेनर हो गए एक APK?
2 container instance. You are saying about instance. There are multiple instance of the one copy.
Exactly. You can have 10 all instance of a 1 copy itself.
Yeah. Okay,
And those all instance are running in isolation.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's something like Java class and objects.
Yeah. You can say that.
Yeah, whatever you can relate more, you can say yes.
Yeah.
Is it clear?
Yeah.
Perfect. I mean, this is what I'm doing. I'm just exploring you. I'm just talking about the commands. So Docker, the next command, which is very important, guys, is Docker pull. Docker pull, I'm saying, hey, I want to pull something called hello world. You must be thinking, Ankur, what is this hello world? Of course, it is one of the Docker image, which is provided by the Docker to test your machine that your properly Docker is running or not. So I said Docker pull iska matlab kya hua? I want to download that APK in my mobile. I'm just downloading it. I'm not running it. Is that clear to you? Docker pull?
Yeah. तो ये हेलो वर्ल्ड जो आपका डॉकर हब पे है, ये इट्स मतलब ये डॉकर हब पे है,
ये कहीं भी हो सकता है. It could be in a 2 place. ये आपकी first of all, whenever you run the docker pull command, it will first look into private repository. If the something is not there in the private repository, then it go to the public repository.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
It's like we are just downloading the application, right?
We are just downloading the APK, nothing else.
Can you show the content of the file, Docker file, which Hello World has?
Okay. Why not? In case if it is allowed. Otherwise, I can show you the content of my files. Give me just a few seconds. I want to show you something. So what it's saying, I want to pull the latest copy of the Hello World. What this command is saying, I want to pull the latest copy of the Hello World. Okay. Latest is nothing, is a tagging like V1, V2, V3, V4, the versioning. Got it?
Okay.
And whatever the latest version is always considered as the latest. Oh, it's taking much time.
Yeah, can we see how many versions of Hello World is available or not?
How many?
Versions of yeah, okay.
Okay. What it is did, it says I have pulled the library and it is up to date in the local repository. It means already my local repository was having this library. Is that clear? Should I show it to you first of all?
Pulling from library and yeah.
It's comparing with the local one. It is the same, so it did nothing. It has not downloaded anything, right? Should I show it to you? Docker images is the command to check what are the images you have in a local repo. So you can check, I have the SonarQube, I have a Basket API, I have a page admin for Postgres, Catalog API, Basket API, Mongo, and Redis, and Hello World. Is that clear to you?
Okay.
Now, if I will go and search Hello World, maybe the way you go to the Play Store and you say, hey, I need a Facebook app. You just write the Facebook and search. So you can do the same thing in the command as well. I want to see how many Hello World apps are there. Maybe Facebook having, I mean,
in your local repo.
No, it isn't on, it's a global in your global hub. I would say a Docker hub. A Hello World is there. And there is a Kitematic Hello World. There's a TumTum Hello World, the Docker Cloud Hello World. I mean, a lot of people have created with their own images with the same name. Are you able to relate this?
Okay.
Yes.
And these all are the public repository. If I create a private repository, my official repository, it won't be listed here. I mean, let's say I'm something, then I have to log in with my organization account, then only I can see that. Okay, that's a different story. Creating a private repository and private image and the local image, that's a different story. I'll talk about it separately when I talk about more on Docker Hub. But I think these all are the public images. Is that clear?
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So Docker search command to searching, Docker pull command to pull. Now after the pulling, the next command is Docker run. So what is the Docker run will do? Docker run, you remember what Docker run will do? Come on, anyone.
It creates containers.
It
Yeah,
creates the
accuracy.
container, and
Yeah.
of course, to create a container, I need to give the name of the image from which image you want to create a container. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, it would be hello world.
Yep, any of these. So Docker run hello world. I'm saying Docker run, please run this image. Even this command, when I'm running, it will first check that do we have hello world in my local repository, private repository? If the answer is yes, then okay. If it is not, it will again go to the public repository to get it download. And I mean, so this will do, if it is not in the local repository, do the 2-step. It will first pull it and then run it.
Okay, so we can run it on the CLI also. Matlab we have not an GUI for this.
I mean, we have both. I mean, you can check here. This is the images, and you can simply, any of the image, you can right click and you can click on run, and that will be run.
Okay. Great.
You have a, this is a free and open source version, but if in a better version, you can have a more better GUI.
Okay. So
Let
in
me-
the one question
ahead,
last.
go ahead.
You show me the dashboard. So that's the dashboard having a in a local repository. It shows the applications in a local repository from the local repository.
True. Everything
Okay.
is talking about your local machine. Everything is talking about the local.
Okay.
So Docker run hello world is the command I'm running here. Somehow my command prompt is too slow today. Docker run hello. HELL. Oh, hello world. Okay. WRLD. Enter. Oh, it's run. It's a hello from Docker, and that's the only job of it actually. Are we clear? And then it's also get a stop. What is the command to see the containers in this local machine? I would suggest and request you to please be on mute. So Docker container ps is the command. CUNTNS, yeah. By which I can see what are the Docker containers I have in my machine. Yep. These many containers were there, and hello container I created 3 times. So that's why it count 3. Now you might be thinking, Ankur, what is the state of this container? It's saying it exited few seconds back. So the state is off, but there are few containers which are up already. What are those containers? MongoDB is running, Postgres is running, Redis is running, and some other is running. Though I have not created just in front of you, it was already running in some of the other application. Now, what I want to start my already stop container. I don't want to create a run. A run means creating a new container, but I don't want to run my old container. I want to start which is already stopped. And who is already stopped? Whenever you create any container, it give you a unique ID. Are you able to see this? 8E605F6 and this and that. Are you able to see this? This is known as the container ID, and it is always unique. And there is also something called container name. This is also always unique. Are you able to see this container ID and container name, guys?
Yes, we can.
So it is just like primary key, unique key, row numbers.
It's not like that. Whenever you run any
row
application,
row numbers.
You can think like a process ID, my friend.
Okay,
Whenever you run any application, it give you a unique process ID. It's a unique process ID.
Okay.
So it's a unique process ID, and it's been stopped and saying, hey, please start this 8E. So अगर मैं starting के 2 character भी दूंगा, तो it will identify is it unique in all? Yes. So it will automatically recognize, okay, you are talking about this container. I will so whenever it say it's returned the same value, it means it was started. So I can show you that it was started few seconds. I mean, hardly 2 seconds ago. 2 minutes ago created, but exited 7 seconds ago. Earlier it was 39 seconds. So it's pop up and went. Are you able to relate this? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes.
So far I talk about how to check what are the images we have in my laptop. Docker images. Okay. I can see how many containers we have. Docker ps command, right? Docker ps is the command which show you only the running containers. So how many running containers we have? Come on, give the answer.
4.
4 containers we have the running. That's true. And what if I want to see any of these container, then what? It's quite difficult, but I'm not sure if I can. Not sure. I don't take the risk. Well, no problem. What I can do, I want to see all the stuff, all the containers, whether they are running or not. Then -a is the command. -a means all. I mean, whether it is running or the stop, please show me all the containers list.
Okay.
Then,
so we can limited the exit time also.
No,
मतलब
exit देखो दो तरह के containers हैं. एक वो container है जैसे web application है, you started and it's keep running. The another one, उसमें एक ही line ही लिखी है बस echo hello world, तो अब container up हुआ और down हो गया.
Okay.
So that's why it got exited. I mean, this is started and got exited.
Okay.
Can I run web application image twice, like in isolation, like same web application image? So how the engine manages the port?
No, you have to configure it. You have to tell that port. You have to tell that port.
So two images cannot run on a same port in a same engine.
अच्छा, let me give you the example. हाँ, नहीं मैं बताता हूँ उसका फंडा क्या है. इंटरनल पोर्ट सेम होंगे कंटेनर के अंदर के, बट क्लाइंट के लिए जो एक्सपोज पोर्ट होंगे वो डिफरेंट होंगे. लेट मी शो यू समथिंग. Nginx is a server. I think all you know. Yes. Is a web server, right?
Yes.
So Docker searching for Nginx. SERSH. SEARCH. Search Nginx. Guys, don't worry. I'll take hardly more 5 minutes. Please remain in the call if you are till now. Okay. So it's the official image of Nginx. The name is already written. Yes or no?
Yes.
So I say Docker pull Nginx. मैंने Nginx image को pull किया, right?
Right.
It will download from the internet and it's a server. So it's not that a small image like hello world तो कुछ seconds में हो गया था. It may take 10 to 15 seconds to get it download, right? It's depend on your internet speed as well.
We have to command docker run and docker start.
There are two commands. One is a docker start and one is a docker run. Docker run is a command to create a container. Docker start is a command to start a stopped container.
Okay. It's a create a container or start a container.
Run means installation. Start means you have a Facebook app in your mobile. Now you're just starting it.
So when you're running it, you're creating it from the image, is it?
Very true. Very true. Okay. Now, guys, because I was not having this local copy, that's why this being downloaded from the internet. Are you able to see this?
Yes.
And if I run the command called docker images, I can see that. I can see that I have just downloaded the Nginx image. You can see here. And every image have a unique image ID. Unique image ID. Repeat. So is that clear to you? Is this part clear to you? Now, guys, it is always recommended whenever you are dealing with Docker or any image, read the their instructions. So I would say Docker Hub is a website. Is my browser is visible?
Yes.
So you have to go to the Docker Hub, and I am already logged in. That's why. But guys, before you coming to before the next session, please create a sign up on this website. hub.docker.com is a free. Okay. What I was talking about. Yes, Nginx. So I can search Nginx. This is the official image of Nginx. I can read the detail here. That what is the command to pull? What are the versions we have? What is the differences between the versions? What is the port number? Which I mean, you can see the port number where this internally it is run on 8080 port number. Are you able to see this? And it contain a lot of instruction and help file in even for the Docker Compose as well. But that's all you can explore in a later time. But I just want to tell you, please go there and also explore any of the repository before working on it. It gives you a lot of examples, a lot of scenarios so that you can find out the internals of it. Now Docker run is a command to run an image. What is the image name, guys? Nginx. You agree with me?
Yes.
And just now I told you that, my friends, this is the image which is a web application. It's a web server. Do you agree? And this server will run in a port. And what is that port? 8080. And where this container will run, of course, it is in that VM, which is Linux based, jahan par Docker engine chal raha hai. You agree with me?
Yeah.
So how can I access it? How I got to know ki ye chal raha hai, nahi chal raha hai? Is it a problem or not? Is a problem. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm mapping my client port to my container port. Any available port of my Windows machine, I'm mapping to it. Let's say 8383. I'm hoping this port is free for me. I can cross check it.
मतलब आपने एक मैपिंग कर दी है 8080 से विंडोज की लिनक्स से 8083 पे.
हाँ, हमने Nginx के 80 को अपने विंडोज यानी क्लाइंट मशीन की 8383 से मैपिंग कर दिया. Now you can check 8383 is free for me, right? As of now, it is free for me. Now I'm saying, hey, map my internal 80 port जहां पर Nginx run होता है to my external machine का 8383 port, which is my client machine, right? And I want to run this command in detach mode so that कि मैं logger में ना चला जाऊं, मैं इस command को run करके बाहर आ जाऊं. So for that I have to use the D is the for detach mode, and just let me press the enter. Or I can also use -- name to give my container name. You remember हर container का एक नाम होता है. ये मैं अपना भी बना सकता हूँ, my web app. अगर आप खुद का नाम नहीं दोगे तो it will generate automatically. If you give your own name, then it won't. So let me run this command. So what will be the name of the container in my case? Oh, ports are not available to 80 to bind it. My bad. Oh, 8080. Sorry.
8080.
8080 भी और मेरा 80 भी free नहीं है. I should do it.
80 is like from your own machine, right?
Yes.
So वो तो web के लिए 80 तो blocked ही रहता है ना.
True. Just a second. Yep. So this is my container port is 8080. I'm mapping it to 8383. If you're getting a container ID, that means things are done for you. Now, what is the port you map? 8383, right? So right here, 8383.
83.
Well, in the meanwhile, this will give you the output. I can also show you Docker PS command. In Docker PS, it should be saying running. Oh no. Why this is not so? Docker PS -a. Just give me, say, guys, a few seconds to get check. Docker, but Nginx, and it was named Awesome. It was created a minute ago, and it is still running. Okay. Docker PS. Somehow that Nginx got stopped. Let me run it again. I'm just removing the name part and giving the different port to it, 8484. And then running the Docker PS command again. Nginx is up. 8484.
8384.
Oh, sorry.
8384.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
No.
Ankur, you have run the server, but you have not started it. Right?
No, it's started. It is already exposed to the 8384.
Is it like that 8384 is the server port and it is mapped to local 8080 port?
No, the first port is host port. in the command. This is the host port and this is the container port. Nginx I know run always in 8080 port, तो वो तो ठीक था, and मैंने अपने 8384 से map किया उसको. So this was clearly perfect. Nginx का default port किसी को पता है? Confirm करेगा मुझे? Is it 80 or 8080? I have a doubt. Otherwise it should work. Yep, it was 80.
80.
So
80,
default
80.
default port जो Nginx का होता है वो 80 होता है, like IIS. ठीक है? So now you can see that I'm having this, right?
Okay.
So guys, are we good till here? I know as we are running out of time. Are we good with this?
Yes.
So far we have covered the fundamentals part. So next session will be based on the things we have discussed so far. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you very
your-
much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ankur.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gaurav.
Did we get the recording?